What is happening, everybody? John Ramdeen, Robin Black. We are in downtown Toronto. Mark is running things. This is the championship rounds. It is coming up this weekend. UFC 211, Dallas, Texas. The heavyweight championship of the world on the line. The current champion, the man, the super athletic, the speedy, the accurate Stipe Miocic, whose vision is possibly his best strength. Uses economy against, in my opinion, a guy that should be, and I know he is a big star. Everybody loves JDS. But Mark and I were talking, it feels like right now, especially if you watch the embedded stuff in the countdown, Junior Dos Santos is just so endearing. You'll want to root for this guy, especially when you see him and his little baby and you've seen the wars. And I think that's one of the JDS's biggest strengths. People look at the fact that he can keep the fight standing. He plays this almost one-dimensional game where it's strictly mixed martial arts boxing. Sometimes he'll throw in a spinning kick or kick here and there. But for the most part, this guy's a wrestler who wants to... It's like Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
He does not... try to take him down. He prepared for Shane Carwin. He's prepared for Cain Velasquez. He prepared for Stipe Miocic. The guy knows how to wrestle. So the idea of mixed martial arts, though, is to make it mixed. Can he use the anti-wrestling in the opposite way? We saw him take down Stipe, a tired Stipe, by trip in the first fight. Can he play a different game and make it about actual wrestling?
That's interesting. And it would surprise some of us. It might surprise Stipe and his team. You know, hard to say. It's an interesting fight. Because if I'm Stipe, yes, I want to put him on his back, but that is a lot of work.
It's too much work.
It's a lot of work.
It
is a lot of work. At that 240 pounds, it's a lot of work.
I just feel, though, we saw it in the first fight. It seemed like a detriment that Stipe tried. And Junior Dos Santos, you might be able to get one hand down, but he gets right back up. So why spend the time there when you know in mixed martial arts he's as good as you are in that department?
Yeah, if I'm Stipe Miocic, I want to win by moving my feet to put myself in position to strike Junior to make him chase me. And we don't know if we can do that. This is an interesting thing right here. John won't be able to talk while I put that there. But this is a Union Jack record player. And if we put a guy in the middle, we can move out on any of these angles, right? You know, we can move out on any of those angles. And wherever he is, from here, I move out on that angle, he has to turn towards me. I move out on this angle, he turns. From there, the spot moves to where I am, and you can remove, right? So it's not just that you have the ability to step out there and make him turn, but as he turns, you have the ability to move wherever you want. And it's, you know, in jiu-jitsu, to be one move ahead of somebody, you know, I'm there and he's trying to react to that, and if we can get to a number of moves. In striking, if we get to more than one or two moves ahead of you, you're unconscious. Do you know what I mean? I step out here, you turn back towards me, I can hit you. But you move back in a controlled enough way to be defensively sound, but I move again. All I need to do is get myself into a position where you are busy turning back towards me, and I knock you out. And it can be subtle. When Bisping touched Rockhold on the chin, it was a subtle moment where Rockhold had to go back this way. And as I used on the breakdown when I broke it down, anytime you can see into another man's ear is a nice time to punch.
That's the kill shot.
That's the kill shot. And that's how Stipe wants to win this fight. And Junior, hey man, he could be way better at this game, but Stipe's been real good at this game of moving his feet. When he and his strong style guys and his boxing coaches, they like to watch the Cody Garbrandts, the Demetrius Johnsons, the TJ Dillashaws, and bring that to heavyweight. That's what Junior has to be ready for. That's what he's got to deal with. And also imagine, if you can look into your guy's ear and we're not in a position to throw, but we go in and we get on the hips here, and that from that position, way harder to defend than when I can get straight in front of you and drive my hips back or react. So Stipe wants to be a step ahead in positioning, and Junior has to be able to be prepared for that.
Can we talk about Stipe's vision? It just feels like he sees everything so clearly, because it's almost deceptive in the sense that people look at, you look at that first fight with Junior Dos Santos. How did you have that fight? Did you have...
I have watched it back, and again, I did what I did the first time, which was be so enjoying the fight. It was close. Yeah, it was close. One man won 3 of those rounds, and one man won 2 of those rounds, and a couple of them were very close. And I think I lean towards Stipe, but there's this bias that happens because we're humans, and these are humans, and we like some of them. I haven't watched the Embedded and and what's the other one?
No, Countdown.
Countdown. I haven't seen those. You have.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh man, you want to root for Junior.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that aspect of his humanity, but they're not robots, and they're not just digits and numbers. They're humans. And so for whatever reason, although my appreciation, I have met Stipe and I've done a sit down and a lunch with him.
Goofy.
Yeah, he is a goofy character.
Hilarious.
But I didn't like or dislike him as a human. I just really like the art. I just really like the game. I like his weird connection of advanced athleticism with combat. And I say advanced athleticism because it isn't the basic strong, fast, jumping, etc. It's these subtle move. It's running back and wide receiver and elite athlete stuff, gymnast kind of athletics. And so I'm a fan of that. But if I watch some of those shows, part of me, and if you watch those shows before and you're cheering, because we've sat in fights where we both are cheering for two different guys, and we spend our entire lifetime doing that, and we think the guy we like won. Yeah. And we're some level of expert in this, right? So there is that human bias, but I kind of leaned, there's the other element of who would you rather be, and Junior got beat up in that fight. But people are telling me as they watch him now that he seems really good. Yeah. He seems good and comfortable and relaxed, and so that's a good sign. We're going to get a great fight.
And what's really awesome about this fight is because Junior is the first one to tell you, because Stipe Miocic was the hardest fight of my entire mixed martial arts career. Do you remember what Cain Velasquez did to him?
Yeah.
So to think about that, he recognizes that, oh my God, this guy smashed my face in, and I signed on the dotted line to fight him again for the championship of the world.
Admire.
And he wants to be the champion. Yeah. So he is not cutting any corners, made the move to American Top Team. I think
that's big.
And just the fact that he's around champions and he's in this really, really, really good place. And one of the things, and again, does he still have this, that Junior Dos Santos has been able to rely on his insane toughness. Does that run out?
The science is indeterminate. You talk to two different brain scientists and you'll get two different results. But our anecdotal evidence is Chuck Liddell. He could take him and then he couldn't. Sam Stout could take it, then he couldn't. Diego Sanchez never been knocked out in his last two fights. He got knocked out, or two of his last three fights. So that's a very small sample size, which is why you can't say, this is definitive. Yeah. But there's a lot of evidence, anecdotally speaking, that the time comes when the time comes. It'll come one day for Junior, and he has taken a lot of abuse. He really has. And Stipe hits hard and athletic. But Junior is a great fighter. We talk about it at different times about the fundamentals and how they can win fights and how lacking them can be the difference, and Junior's fundamentals are phenomenal. And sometimes you beat this complex fighter like a Stipe Miocic with those fundamentals. And if he's going to win, it's 1-1-2 or 1-2 hook, just nice, clean, well-expressed, clean fundamentals. And that's his strength. It's his real strength.
One of the things that I noticed about Stipe Miocic, and I think it might be confusing for if you're a judge, or the judges are getting better and better, or viewer at home, you think about some of the defensively when you look at Stipe, that he doesn't have to move far.
No.
When he's moving what seems to be millimeters out of punches because he doesn't need to. Yeah. Everybody thinks that you have to these big sweeping movements when he just makes the slightest adjustment and makes you move almost to the point where, did he get hit because of those small movements? And again, if you're a judge and you're watching him over there, are you actually seeing what's happening?
That's a good point. The truth in fighting for the purpose of beating you is exactly that. When a punch comes to my chin, if it touches my skin lightly or touches my ear lightly, it's the best slip of all, because I'm still in position to hit you. We talk about conserving or economizing effort. I didn't do much, and it's frustrating for you, and it puts me in a position to be able to strike back. That's Stipe. But I never thought about that. What if the judge misunderstands that moment? Cub, when I was in Albuquerque analyzing Cub, he would talk about how on certain punches, like a jab, for example, he'll take it,
and move with it,
get out of the level these guys are working on now, it's incredible. And Stipe's doing that kind of thing too. Like, what if you can hit me in such a way that it doesn't hurt me? Because, as this comes towards you, you're capable of moving with it. Like, that seems...
Moving with it and rolling. Yeah, so you're using fundamentals in addition to all the other factors.
And from Southpaw, Nate Diaz will roll to the slap.
Come back.
Roll to the slap or the punch off the left hand.
The energy around.
And you never saw a lot of that at heavyweight, really ever. Not at that level. That's what Stipe is doing. The reason he is so good is because he's taking things that heavyweights couldn't do, and in the minds of a lot of people shouldn't do, and doing them. And that's pretty cool.
It feels like Stipe in the first fight, there was a little bit of fatigue, and that he almost gave the fight away because he wasn't as active in round 4 and 5 as he was in the first 3 rounds. Maybe that's because of the wrestling, because Junior Dos Santos was up to the task, and it was very difficult, it was very, very taxing. Does he remove that and amp up the volume or the number of damaging strikes to slow Junior Dos Santos down? Kicks to the body.
I think he's in better shape than he's ever been, but some of that is just how you choose to use your energy too. Sometimes, and we've seen it, the most logical example or easy to understand example, so when we see guys think they have the fight won and then they empty the tank. So when and where you amp it up is part of it. But I think if Stipe, wouldn't it be, because he's had that experience now, wouldn't it be better to have the opposite experience? That guy be tired and me coming on. So I think it's something he'll look to do. But man, this is just an unreal card. Some of these fights are just unbelievable. And do
you want to go in order? Or we can talk about from heavyweights to Jacek?
Let's talk about what our favorite fights are.
Demien Maia and Masvidal has to be the second fight. So when you're breaking down this welterweight fight, and you look at Demien Maia, who has achieved greatness in the world of jiu-jitsu, especially the jiu-jitsu community, this is their guy. Him and Jacare and some Sergio Moraes, but Demien Maia seems to be the benchmark of greatness because he puts in the hard work. He's articulate. He's entertaining. He's humble. He's a finisher. He's everything.
He's everything jiu-jitsu should be.
You know what I mean?
The beauty of it.
And then he's made that move to mixed martial arts because sure, he's not knocking people out or smashing people. He does his jiu-jitsu game. But he faced the best fighters in the world, and he can take damage. And I have a feeling he's going to take a lot of damage in this fight. Possibly.
Yes.
If Demien Maia doesn't play his game, where he's able to wrap up Masvidal and trap him on the ground and control him there and fish for submissions that Masvidal is going to be able to avoid, be a matador, and punish him the whole time with the whole gamut of mixed martial arts. Knees to the head, elbows, punches, just trying to destroy Demien Maia, who's just going to keep coming after you.
We don't see too many fighters like Jorge Masvidal because of what he is and what he's developed. And what he is a killing machine. He is put on earth to beat other people up and to fight. It's who and what he is. Yet the way that he's developed seems separate from that. Because typically these types of guys become quite violent. Matt Brown is one of these types of guys. He was put on earth to fight. He was put on earth to show you what kind of man he is. But Matt Brown is not smooth and flowing. Matt Brown is not, fluid. Guys like Gunnar Nelson who are calm and they see fighting as an art and as something to his waves, smooth, flow into it. But Jorge Masvidal is somehow this dichotomy of this visceral, primal, aggressive, ornery soul of a man with this fluid, flowing, highly advanced martial artist.
Yeah.
And that combination is rare and unique because what Demien Maia would look to make you do is kind of overreact to his things. React, fight it, resist it.
Yeah.
And he's built, And as soon as oh, good, they're doing this.
Yeah.
And then he just goes wherever he's going with you. Jorge will not do that.
I totally agree. And that's why I love Masvidal. But then I look at Demien Maia, and it's like, yeah, you can try to flow. He trips you. You try to do the things. You try to roll with it. But Demien Maia, he's a skill guy. So even though you try to flow, I flow too. And I flow right into the techniques that you're not familiar with. And next thing you know, an arm is trapped.
But that's the test.
Yeah.
That's the test.
Yeah.
First of all, you know, what the old school way of thinking is, you know, we break it up. Who's better on the feet? Oh, Jorge Masvidal's better on the feet. Okay, that's probably true. I mean, he's an incredibly smooth boxer and fluid fighter, and just really, it's quite a simple game to him.
And you feel
to be able to do it.
He's going to light Demien Maia up right away to the point where he freezes Demien Maia.
He'd like to, and he could, and move away. Move away from him. We're going to strike him and move away from him when and how we can, and he can do that. If and when he finds himself caught up with the snake, the snake is starting to wrap around you, he has to not panic. Whitaker got taken down and controlled by Jacare.
Yeah.
Whitaker's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He is not the grappler and certainly not the wrestler that Jorge is. And the way he chose to deal with that with a calm, as soon as you're like, oh shit, like, you know, and anyone who's grappled, has felt, oh my God, oh shit, no, you're done, it's over. And Jorge
that's also helped me.
Yeah,
it's helped me out of situations where, you know, if I don't react right now, something bad's gonna happen to me.
There are times you should panic, but they are not among those times. Is not when Jacare or Demien Maia first gets a little control over you. You're like, well, this Demien Maia's on top of me in half guard. I know how to play half guard. The problem starts going with, no big deal. Demien Maia's on top of me in half. Oh, he's inside. Oh shit, I've given him my back. Oh. That's when it starts going bad.
Well, that's right. But it's so immediate. Like
it's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
So, and that's this. It's like, okay, you're right. You do not panic. But everything we were talking about this before. Demien Maia sets traps 3 and 4 stages from there. So as soon as he's doing something, he's trying to get you to, you're going to make it this easy for me? Yeah. Do you not see what I'm doing to you right now? Yeah. And then before you know it, he's already in step 3. And it's like, oh, shit.
It's true. I think we have to go almost backwards in analysis, back to the olden days, and break it down into some of these, and really assess. Is the amount that Jorge is better when there's space between them higher than the difference between them when there's no space between them? Because Demien Maia's game is we need no space. So if there's no space, you're in here, and when you're in here, I do these things, and then this happens, and then that, and his whole game is based on no space. When there is space, Jorge's way better than him, way better. And so we can say that. Grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing if we like, or we can say space versus no space.
Yeah, I like that.
And no space Demien is not just on the ground, but when he's here on you and you're standing up, that's trouble too. Because when you end up on the ground, and he knows how to get you there, you end up in a worse position. Jorge can play there. Jorge can play at that point where there's no space and they're still on their feet, and he has tricks of his own there, and he's had them for years. And he's been, yes, it's a lower level guys, but if you look back in his grappling, there are elements of the same line of thinking, the same family tree as the way Demien grapples, smooth and fluid. It's a beautiful fight. It's a beautiful fight.
I love this fight, and I think, just like you're saying, I don't know, I have no idea. I think when I think of this fight, it's like, wow, there's so many possibilities. I can't wait to see this fight.
I just can't wait.
And when I talk about the jiu-jitsu game. American Top Team's a jiu-jitsu school, like high-level jiu-jitsu academy. So he is going to see, they're like, oh, this is, all of his coaches like, awesome. We have a cool riddle to solve. How can we make this guy smash Demien Maia, shut down Demien Maia's game, and get a win over Donald Cerrone and Demien Maia, and I'm fighting for the championship.
So late Thursday night, after the main weight cut has been done for Jorge, Mike Brown is going to sit down with me, and we're going to talk a bit about it. I don't know how much insight he'll give about the fight itself, but to be honest, there's not a lot that can be done to change by that point. You've built the fighter you've built, but I'm excited. And then Jorge will have Sunday in the shuttle, and we're taking him to the airport, win or lose. But let's pick one more fight to talk about.
So are we going to talk about the co-main event? You want the NJ check?
We chatted about that. You can find that on the YouTube. I want to talk about Eddie and Dustin Poirier.
Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier.
Of the 6 last fights, these are the 3 I'm most stoked for.
Love this fight. When you think about just everything, Eddie Alvarez's his odyssey through mixed martial arts and where he is and the things that, you know, the highest of highs, and then the fight with Conor and how he's an evolved fighter, and he's moved around to different places to get different looks, and he's constantly trying to be a better version of the Eddie Alvarez we've come to love. And same with Dustin Poirier. We called his fight before he went into the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and he too was evolved. But I still feel that Dustin Poirier is closer to the Dustin Poirier of old than Eddie Alvarez is. Eddie Alvarez still is that Eddie Alvarez, but it feels like he is out to prove that he's more than just that Eddie Alvarez, where Dustin Poirier is like, I'm out to prove I'm gonna fucking knock your ass off.
It's true. They have one thing they've both done in common is they both started to control themselves a little bit more, but that's relative, right? They're both lunatics. It's such a good fight. These 3 fights in particular.
What do you think of?
There's one. When I think of this fight, there's a lot of things that come to mind, which is why you get so excited about it. But Eddie was just preparing for the biggest fight of his life against a mean, rugged southpaw. And Eddie entered that fight thinking, I'm going to wrestle a lot and not box a great deal against this southpaw. Now he's facing another southpaw, rugged southpaw, different, and presumably wants to wrestle a lot and not box. So in mindset-wise, preparation-wise, strategy, building a game-wise, we've been kind of working on this for 6 months.
Right.
And I think that is a nice advantage for him. He spent months and months training to fight southpaws and familiarizing himself with them. Now he's got another one. This one, on some level, not quite as dangerous as the last one, to way less dangerous, depending on how you want to look at it. And we wanted to really show that we were the better wrestler. He's a hell of a wrestler. Old school, low hips. If your hips are lower, he'll get even lower. You can picture him against Gilbert, against the fence, and he'll drop even lower, and he'll drop even lower, and he's just going to get lower than you and rip you to the ground. And then Dustin will get up, and then he'll do it again, and then Dustin will get up, and they'll try to do it again. And when they're out in the open space, it'll be risky for all parties involved.
Where does Eddie Alvarez, where can he make the most impact? Is it striking to get in, or on the exit? Because Dustin Poirier, again, it's American Top Team. They all know how to wrestle. They are. Everything is going to be hard. As soon as you are trying to use your energy and use your expertise in the grappling department, they have trained that for eons.
Yeah.
So what is the advantage when you know it's going to be just that it's going to be worse for him?
That's it. We're going to both be exhausted, and when we're both exhausted, I'm tougher. I've proven it to myself my whole life. If I'm Eddie Alvarez, not me, I am not. Eddie Alvarez, on the other hand, is. And if I'm Eddie, and Dustin Poirier is like, are you kidding me? Yeah, bring it on. We'll both push ourselves to the limit, and at minute 13, we'll see who's tougher. Yeah, bring it. And we're going to see elements of that for sure. I'm also, if I'm Dustin, I have a feeling this guy really wants this. Eddie has talked openly. I saw him talking with Luke the other day, Luke Thomas, my buddy Luke, and he was saying, after your worst nightmare comes true, being embarrassed in Madison Square Gardens by that Santa Claus guy, it's freeing, because your worst nightmare comes true, and the sun comes up the next day, and your kids still love you, and your wife still thinks you're the greatest ever, and your friends are proud of you, and you still love the martial arts, and you're still fucking Eddie Alvarez, and there's something freeing about that, and I believe that's true. And he dealt with it. He talked about it was hard, it was scary, it was terrible, it was a bad experience. I didn't bounce right back. That's all the right things. Be truthful with yourself. But if I'm Dustin, I'm still like, I still have a feeling if most normal humans now would be pretty desperate to close the distance, get a little wrestling going, and not be being punched in the face by a left-handed guy straight down the pipe again. So if I'm Dustin and I know that, I'm going to get a good couple of shots on this guy early. I'm going to slide back, uppercut, whatever, have something prepared for if this guy does get a little panicky, just a little, in that first minute or two, and get a little too horny to get the takedown, you know what I mean? I'm going to hurt him.
So if you're Mark Henry, they're telling Eddie, we're in no rush.
Yeah.
15 minutes, right?
Yeah, I think so. Get him in that mode where it's like, oh yeah, I fought all the best guys in the world. I know how to do this. Right, it's just this again. I know how to do this. It's going to be a killer fight.
A tremendous battle at 155 pounds. Dustin Poirier taking on Eddie Alvarez. UFC 211 going down in Dallas, Texas. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about some of the biggest fights in mixed martial arts history. That is it for us. Got to thank Mark. He's Robin. I'm John. This has been Championship Rounds. See you later.